Greetings, welcome, and salutations to the Xbox Wrap-Up, the monthly community episode in which the patrons of XEP join me and Captain Logan to chat about the last and latest month in gaming. In this month's episode, we are chatting about the games that we played in April 2024. As always, I am joined by my co-host, the intrepid Captain Logan. Captain, how are we?
I'm doing good. I'm hanging in there. How you guys doing?
I cannot complain. We would say the moment we start, Ellery's like, I'm out. Doing well. Hope that you are doing well. I know you had a trip this past week. It's good to have you back. We missed you on XEP Live this past weekend.
I know. You got Cog in there, and I was jealous because it's like one of my hopes to get to podcast with him at some point. And I was like, man, of course, the reason he comes on is because I'm not going to be there.
It's true. It's true. That was specifically what it was and nothing else. It wasn't schedules or timing or anything of the like. So it goes there. Ellery is rejoining us. Excellent. Good to have Ellery back. Yeah, Logan, I'm glad you're here. It's good to have you back from a 2-week excursion. I enjoyed my 2 episodes with our wonderful guests, but it's nice to have you back here for our live episode.
Yeah.
We've got our patrons here, some of our amazing community members. I think Todd Oxford will be joining us momentarily. Love seeing also Nissa Hauer in the chat. Good to see you. Nissa, of course, XEP famous, first super chat ever, and I believe first channel member ever. Royalty, as we call them. All right, I got to change that now that I pulled Todd in there because it's doing all types of funky outlines, but all good. Good to see you, Todd. Todd, I can't help but notice you're wearing blue and gold, so I'm going to start with you first. Is that themed for any particular reason, or is it just coincidental?
Quite honestly, it's what I had around.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Bold choice, I know.
Yeah, bold choice, but you got to know that that's close to the vault dweller attire there, which I'm okay with now. I've accepted it. I'm here for it. It's good. How are you, Todd?
Good. Had some great news today. My son was officially given his scholarship. It was signing day. He's going to be a music teacher, so I'm very, very excited.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Dad, as well, dude. That's amazing. That is amazing. The choice of teacher, I'm all for. I love it. I support it. I'm here for it. Best of luck. If he needs any advice, of course. I'll try not to sway him out of the profession. But it is super, super rewarding. But Todd, if I could I know you're just paying for college, you got a scholarship and all that. Keep saving because after he gets a job, he's going to need help. Okay.
The good news is he gets 2 years in a teaching position at his current school. Ooh. And it's 20 minutes from our house. So Luke, he'll probably be living with us. So
yeah,
he's all set. Yeah, he's all set.
That's how it should be. I just got to tell you, that's just how it should be. So it goes there. Well, let me also introduce, we have many guests to get to this week, which is amazing. I'm going to start or go next to Ellery Woods Parker III. They have done our first video review that wasn't by Logan and I for the Outer Terror. Thank you, Ellery, for doing that.
You're welcome. Thanks for the opportunity.
I'm stoked that you're here with us today. You've also been doing some work with Complete Xbox and doing some stuff on Twitch. Please tell people what you've been doing.
So I actually just sent in my review for Super Space Club. I know you have interviewed Graham, so I was super stoked to take that on because of your interview and background there. So that should be coming out in a day or so over on Complete Xbox. Also working on my next video review for XEP, Ready, Steady, Ship. That should come out in the near future, so keep an eye out on that. And then also I stream on Twitch. I don't have a set schedule. I just jump in, stream whenever, but 100% of my proceeds go to the Trans Youth Equality Foundation. Super cool.
Super cool. I love it. I love seeing the growth. I love that you get to work with Complete Xbox and we see you there. I love that you're willing to grace us here. Super, super cool. So thank you for that. So, Rick. I see. I almost messed it up again. Every month, I feel like you do it to me too. Just for the record, he does it to me too. Everybody. Rick, aka Butch4969, new dog dad. How are you, my friend?
Not yet. I got 2 days. I'm all right.
Is Twyla not yet there?
Not yet. Friday.
Oh, okay. And did I pronounce it right?
You did. Yes, you did. Twyla.
I love it, man. How are you?
I'm all right. How's everybody here doing? Good to see everybody.
I think we're all giving thumbs up. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Rick, I'm anxious to hear about Rebirth later on in the episode because you finally finished it, and that's something you've been talking about for a while.
How many hours you got?
Oh boy.
Because no matter how many you got, it's not enough to talk about that game. That's for sure.
Sounds like we need to set up a video, another video call, and do like a whole separate spoiler cast thing, like you guys were hoping for. Is that on the cards? Is that something you want to do?
That is indeed on the cards.
That'd be awesome.
And there are 3 of us present today that actually are going to be part of it. Myself, Clint, Silkenit, and then Kevin, who is not here. I assume he's going to be the one that sets it up since he's the one that's podcasting. But yeah, we were going to do a review / spoiler cast, and I am pretty excited because I have thoughts.
Ooh, I can easily help you guys set that up. If you guys want to do it, you've got the XEP blessing. It'll be the first non-Xbox.
The first PlayStation exclusive
video.
The
Xbox expansion pass.
I'm here for it. XCP is more a community. It's just because it sounds cool at this point, right? Because Xbox is everywhere.
It's a pre-preview before it comes to Xbox.
That's right.
I do think it's going to come to Xbox one day. Maybe not Xbox Series SX.
I think it'll be after all 3 are finally out. I think it'll come eventually. I think they'll release the whole trilogy, whatever we want to call it. But so I think you do still have a few years till it comes to Xbox, but I think it'll get there.
I am inclined to agree, if I'm being honest with you. I can guess that Silkenit will be joining you on that show.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Silkenit, I should say. Good to have you as well. How are you? How have you been? Did you finish Rebirth?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I finished it in the first week it came out.
Ooh.
I took days off for that game.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, thanks to have me back.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you're here today then. Your background, where are you in your background?
It's from Citizen Sleeper.
Oh, okay. All right.
Good game.
Well, it's from
Awesome
the
game.
wallpaper pack they sent to the backers. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Makes sense. I get it. That's different, though,
Hide
than
the
the
mess.
background. Say that again?
Hide the mess. Because I
Okay.
don't have like a nice setup of all my figurines and games behind me.
I'm pretty meticulous about that. Yeah, Logan a bit more meticulous, and dude,
And
Rick's
Rick, too.
background is crazy. But it's Clint who has joined us from a vault today. Which vault are you in, Clint?
Vault EP?
The XEP vault. I like it. I like it. Fully endorsed now, by the way. Fully endorsed. And I will be talking to Bethesda about royalties, given that they've used my likeness several times. Clint, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. Good. Glad to be here.
I'm excited to have you here, man.
Well,
Plenty to dive into because this was a weird month. We are also joined by Chris, 1H1D. Chris, how are you? How goes it? What's up, man?
Oh, busy few weeks, but it's been good. It's been good. I like you doing podcasts and got to do an awesome interview. So yeah, this has been fun.
Well, look, it's a community episode, man. You got to plug the interview, and then I'm going to press you. I need you to give me the link so I can plug that into the chat as well. What was the interview for?
Well, it was a developer interview with the Mighty L Studios. They're based in Toronto, and they made a game called The Big Con.
Mhm.
That was it's a really short but sweet game, and I got to talk to the head of the studio and just chat with him a bit like about getting on Game Pass and really learning the whole development process from him. So it was a fun time. Just under an hour, like our show. So yeah,
I like it. 1 hour, one decision. Now tell me, I know that interviews are something that you enjoy and were wanting to do more of. Were you happy with this one? Did it go well?
I'm always super critical about myself anyway. So I mean, as if I listen to it, I'm always like, okay, I could have said this, I could have done this, but Yeah, it went as well as I could. I mean, I feel like I flubbed the intro or whatever, but so be it.
Well, let me jump in here because it was awesome. I listened to it.
Appreciate it.
I absolutely loved it. Chris, you and Tom are awesome interviewers. I hope you do more of that. And it has pushed me over the edge, and I'm going to jump into that game now.
Yeah, it's great. And you know, they hinted at potentially releasing some stuff to check out too. So I was super happy about that. So
That's fantastic, actually. That's a great get. Very cool.
yeah,
Very cool, man.
yeah, hoping to do more of them, but we'll see.
I will tell you, as someone who consistently tries to get interviews, I get told no all the time, but when you get a yes, it feels good. It doesn't matter how it goes. It feels good. That's awesome, man. Congrats.
For sure.
Congrats, dude. 1 hour, one decision. Send me that link. I put it in private chat. I need that link because we're putting that in the chat there, for sure. And of course, we are joined by Mr. Jampack Sam, who I had in backstage because I didn't scroll down far enough. I'm so sorry, Sam. How are you, my friend?
No worries. I am slightly late, but I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here to chat with all you fine people. Actually, in as close as we can get to the flesh, right? I know we're in the Discord all the time, but yeah, doing great.
This is now officially the biggest community episode we've ever had. I've never seen this many people here on our panel before, so bear with me, guys, as I try to navigate our conversations. But this is awesome. It's very good to see everybody.
Kind of like Hollywood Squares.
It does kind of feel like that. I've got like Ellery like right here, and Logan's over here. There's nothing happening here. So it goes. So tell me this, guys. I wanted to start off with a conversation about Tales of Kenzera Zao. Who else has played Tales of Kenzera Zao? I've got Rick, Silkenit, Todd, and okay, that's it for right now. Would anybody? I'll start off and say I was blown away by the presentation of this game, given the size of the studio, given that I was 2 months removed from Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, which to me is one of the best Metroidvanias I think I've ever played, stands among Ori, Hollow Knight, Super Metroid, Castlevania. It stands among them. And then to get Tales of Kenzera Zao, it reaches for those heights with admittedly a smaller team, a new studio, I should say. I really enjoyed it. I don't think it quite reached the same heights as some of the games I just listed, but it felt like a really worthy entry into the Pantheon, and I could see them doing something special with the Kenzera universe. I'm only 2 chapters in, I guess you would say. I forget what they're called in this moment, but I just finished the first boss, and I'm not rushing. Yeah, Axe. Thank you, Silkenit. I'm not rushing through. I'm really just taking my time, and I like that it's more streamlined. Todd, you said you played the game as well.
Yeah, I played it on PS Plus Premium, which I swear I thought it was on Game Pass, to be honest, because I know it's gotten a lot of Xbox support, so I really was surprised when it wasn't there. But I really appreciate the art style, and I think they call it, Afrofuturism. It's that Black Panther style of blending like a modern lens with also the cultural aspects of Africa, even though it's it's probably a little bit of it is stylized and also embellished, or just creating, and it's like a fusion. So I really appreciate that quite a bit. But I was burned with Prince of Persia, where I felt like after playing that first and then Kenzera, it definitely felt like, okay, it's a great indie game, but I was so blown away by Prince of Persia that it kind of made me appreciate it less. But I appreciated that it could do so much based on its budget, where it was from. The voice acting is awesome. That's something that indies don't always get, is good voice acting. And I did appreciate the unique styles of attacks. It was almost like there was a game back a while ago where you would like change either red to attack blue or blue to attack red.
Badland.
Yes. Outland, yes. So I appreciated that mechanic was in there. It was kind of like a lot of other games where it's like you do have to come with the right tactics. So I really appreciate it. I think this is a great game. I mean, how much does the game sell for? Is it 20, 30?
$20 on all platforms, and then it's included in PS Plus.
It's a no-brainer. So I think even if you're hesitant, try it out. I think you'll enjoy it quite a bit. I did. It's just like I said, I think it just is a victim of bad timing, which really hurts it, but I think it's getting a lot of great buzz. And Luke, your interviews, I think, are driving some really great attention to everyone you bring to the table. So anybody does interviews, Chris, yourself, don't worry. You're doing great work and getting more attention to those developers. So thank you.
Thank you. I mean, it means a lot. Thank you. They're stressful. They're stressful. They're stressful. I don't know about you, Chris, but that's how I feel. Who else played Kenzera? It was Silkenet as well, and Rick. Jump in, guys.
Yeah, I finished Kenzera last weekend. And I echo the sentiment. It's a pretty game, very, very pretty game. The movement is really fluid. The abilities to move around the world feel good. I was not sold on the combat. The switching masks on principle is fun, but in practice, I didn't see the benefits of doing it most of the time. But you play Tales of Kenzera for the story, for the character development. It's really for the tale itself, not really the gameplay. Especially in a year where you have Prince of Persia, you had like another Metroidvania coming out soon before Biomorph, and you have like, I could name 3 or 4 more coming down the line.
But I thought the gameplay was pretty clean, or at least I'm enjoying it so far. I don't think it's as refined, but it feel like if Lost Crown is 100, I feel like this is a 90.
Nah.
No, you don't think so? Am I over embellishing?
But not from my experience with like other Metroidvanias. Like too much of the time you can get stun locked for no reason. Combat is always in arenas, so you can see it coming. There's no surprise. Like it's small things, It's not if Prince of Persia is 100, that one's maybe 70, 75 for me. It's not low, but it's.
I got you.
It's not the appeal. It's not why I continued and finished the game.
Gotcha. Rick, do you agree or disagree? Where do you fall in that line?
Well, Silkenet's played a lot more than me, so I can't really dispute anything he's saying. But I can say I do agree with a lot of what Todd said there. It is kind of a victim of its release. It probably would have been better if this somehow came out before Prince of Persia. Prince of Persia is the better game, but it's also 2.5 times the price and not an indie game, whereas this is. But I want to really give some call out to. I think one of them. I think it was Todd mentioned the voice acting, which is very, very good. I don't know if anybody other than is his name Abu? Is that what the okay? I don't know if anybody other than him is actually a professional actor or not, but the voice acting is all very clean, very professional sounding. Also, it's kind of cool that they give you an option to play it in Swahili if you like, so that you can actually get the really authentic thing. But I really wanted to call out the art direction to it, because it's hard to really describe what it looks like, but it's almost like it's almost like a watercolor without having like that watercolor distinct style, if that makes sense. But it's beautiful art. The game is just obviously part of it. You're in like not sewers, but down below. But when you're like up above the surface, I mean, it's a gorgeous game. I do agree though that from what I played, the combat does seem a little on the simplistic side. It can be tough. I set it on hard, and it definitely beats you up a little bit. But
that first boss got me. Impundulu, I think was the name. It got me.
I don't think I even got that far.
Oh, okay.
But it's fluid, which I like. I think maybe it would have been better to have maybe a third mask to she got like all melee for the sun mask, and then ranged with a little bit of melee on the moon mask. Like a third one might have been a little bit better. That's like 100% range, but it has doesn't wear out as fast or something like that. But I do agree. It's a really solid first attempt, and I do hope to see definitely more from the, I guess, Tales of Kenzera series. I'd like I don't know if they'll do like another story that his dad's telling, or not that his dad wrote for him, or if it'll be a continuation of Zal's story or whatever. But I do like what I played, and God knows we can never have too many Metroidvanias.
Agreed.
because it's the perfect like structure of a side scrolling game. I think.
Fully agree with that. I fully agree with that. I think about the side scrolls. I remember the first time. I don't know if you guys had something similar, but when I was younger, not as young as it should have been, but like I played Super Metroid later than it like came out. Maybe in the Wii U era or Wii era. That's how late I played Super
He's
Metroid.
like 2010. I played Super Metroid and it was fantastic.
Oddly enough, that sounds accurate. But I was baffled at the idea of going left at the start of a game, a side scroller game, because to me they'd all been go right to start. And I know that seems so silly, but it clicked something in my brain and it just reminded me of game design. I don't know.
I believe it's the original level of Rayman Origins actually does that too. There's stuff on the left from the very beginning. There's stuff on the left.
Oh, that's cool.
There's
I think
always
it's first level.
stuff on the opposite side where you're facing.
Really?
I think
You always turn around.
Yeah, I think the intent there is to force you to think outside of where you would normally go to give you that sense of like, okay, I need to go and actually explore in areas where I normally don't.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
It's just gamer instinct. Never go where the game tells you to go.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, that was one of my favorite games of April was Tales of Kenzera, and I personally recommend it, especially if you're on PS Plus. Absolutely, without a doubt, go for it. I hope this game gets to Game Pass just so more people play it. But at $20, I don't think anybody's gonna purchase it and be upset. I mean, I'm obviously higher on it than you, Silk, and you, Rick, but I still don't think $20 is an unfair ask for this game. Did you guys feel that way?
No, I think
No,
it's
it's
perfectly
perfect.
fair.
Yeah.
Perfect pricing. Yeah.
Nice. Well, that was kind of the game that I wanted to bring to the table to start us off. Did anybody else have something that they've been playing this past month that they want to point to? Oh my gosh, Silking it.
Another Crab's Treasure. Please play that game. It's on Game Pass too.
Is it on Game Pass?
It
It
is.
is, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh wow, I've been waiting to try it out. Okay, I will download that now.
Yep.
I got to
Super
talk
good.
about that with a friend, so I have some thoughts on that whenever available. Oh, okay.
Go for it.
So yeah, I was talking to a friend, and the conversation that I was having was just like, I'm interested that she was playing that because she's not a Souls-like person. So I asked her about it, and she's like, yeah, it's like the greatest platformer of the year so far for me. And I'm like, is that really a platformer? Because I don't think that's a platformer. And it turns out if you go in and mess around with all of the accessibility settings, you can actually turn this Souls-like game into a platformer. And she loves it. And she's someone that goes out of her way to play as many indie games as she can. She says this is probably one of the best ones she's played this year. And I was really surprised. I was taken back. I thought, that was something that I don't know that I would want to jump into just because of like the Souls-like nature of it. But man, hearing her talk about like what she was able to do, like getting like the golden gun and stuff, I was like, that's cool.
Yep,
The golden gun
use
and the treasure.
Yeah.
Well,
Go
yeah,
crazy, please.
Under
No, you-
accessibilities, you can change your shell to be a gun. So the combat is super easy.
It's one
for
shot
people
everything.
that have
You
trouble.
one-shot everything.
It's hilarious too, because it's like
Yeah.
you'll see the big like the boss battle. They'll do their whole like entrance, and you just shoot him with its gun. It's like so good.
That's
Like
currently what
Indiana
I'm playing.
Jones.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been playing it for the past 3 days. I booted it up after we talked about it in the Discord. And it's one of those ones where it's like, I feel so dumb because I get that Souls level mad at it. And then it's like a colorful little Sebastian the Crab from Little Mermaid kind of
Right.
situation. I'm like, why am I actually raging at a crab right now? Like, this is frustrating. I have whipped out the gun a couple times, though. I'm not going to lie. I am no shame. I'll use the gun.
It's got
Bad
an
news: the
awesome
Xbox store is down.
Aw.
Is it actually?
Yeah,
It is. I just looked on Xbox
Oh,
status because
I
it
did see
gives
some
me
issues.
this.
Oh no.
I gotta tell you, ever since this Activision Blizzard mess, Xbox has been dead and
No,
dying.
it wasn't that. It was they had to connect PlayStation users to our store.
Ever since
CFEs.
PlayStation users could play Pentiment, I felt Xbox was going downhill. Rah, 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 rah.
Yeah.
Please talk about another Crab's Treasure more. I'm still fascinated by
Well,
this.
the
because
dialogue
we-
is great, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we talked about like the gameplay. It's so first off, it's a masterclass on accessibility design because you can have a gun like to kill everything, but you can change your parry window, your dodge window, your health, your damage you're taking, the damage you do. Like it's really like customizable from A to Z. Like no problem.
So
Yeah.
it's made for Todd's.
It's made for everyone.
100%.
Everyone. And it has the aggro crab writing and puns and humor. So if you ever played Going Under, that's the game they did before, which is a commentary on Amazon and capitalism. They continue on that vein. So the dialogues, the puns, the little bits and pieces, the environmental storytelling, like all the trash littering the ocean. It's all there.
Yeah, it's really good. I think my favorite, like there are tons of dad jokes and stuff that are scattered throughout, but my favorite thing so far has been the fact that in the main city, all of the roads are CVS receipts because they're like 8 miles long. That was one that really cracked me up whenever I got to the main city. So I've really been enjoying that. I wish there was more direction because I don't really feel like it's telling me directly. Like it tells you where to go, but there's not like I'm a very low level, like give me a marker on the screen, tell me exactly where you need me to go. So I'm kind of like wandering around, but that's probably by design so that I find other things to fight and discover. But I mean, I've been playing it for the past 3 days, probably like 2 hours a night or so. So I'm sure I'm coming up on the end. I've gotten 2 of the puzzle pieces. If anybody's played it, so I won't go into spoilers on that if we're into the story part of a crab game. But yeah, I'm having a good time with it.
It took me 12 hours.
Yeah. No, we talked about that on Threads, I think, or maybe in the Discord.
Yeah.
So wait, his shell phone doesn't have GPS?
I wish, but there are a
man.
lot of that level puns though. That's the kind of energy the game gives. So if you like that, you're in for a treat.
Oh, that
There's
hurt me
also a
just to
lot of
hear.
like
Yeah, that was painful.
there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for, like not hidden really much, but like a good story behind it about like how we're damaging the oceans, like Sam said with the CVS receipts and stuff like that. But your experience is actually labeled microplastics, and when you level up you get rid of the microplastics in your body, and you're cleaning up kind of while you're battling and stuff. So it sends kind of like a good vibe message too while you're playing it, type of thing.
So
Cool.
it's a Souls-like though.
Yep.
The combat is.
Mhm.
The combat is Souls-like. So when you die, you leave your microplastic and shell where you die. You have to get them back. That's an option you can remove too. Also, you can just keep them if you die. And it's one weapon, two light attack, heavy attack, shell spell, and adaptations, which are bigger spells. And that's kind of it.
Is there any? Oh, sorry.
I was going to say the rest of the game, like we said, it's a 3D platformer. Like you have to explore everywhere. You have collectibles like for your health, for your weapon, for your everything. There's a lot of stuff hidden, and that's why they didn't do a map with markers like we're used to. It's to encourage you and let you
That's
explore.
cool.
Is there a skill tree?
Yes. It's a 3 branching path, like one dodge, one parry, one more magic spells, we'll say. But you can max it out really quickly. You just get the resources for it, because what they do well is you have one resource per type of upgrade. So you don't have to manage and say, oh, I need my souls to buy this and upgrade that and that. You have one resource for your skills, one resource for your level up.
That makes sense. Huh. How long does it take to beat this one? And Addy, I'm not going to forget your super chat. I got you, man. You were super generous. I'll talk to you in a second, buddy.
Took me 12 hours.
12 hours. Gotcha. Sam, did you finish it?
I have not. No, I'm probably like 2/3 of the way through it. But I would say that for me so far, it's been like if you're hesitant about Souls-like games, this is a really good entry point because it does have that style of combat. It does have a skill tree that's super manageable. Like Silken had said, like you can level it up pretty much immediately. I forgot to level it up for like the first couple of hours of the game, and then I went in with like a giant pile of resources and just kind of like maxed out 2 of the branches. But Silken had actually hit me up on Threads, and we were talking about, like, I was like, I don't know if I'm feeling it or not. And he was like, wait till you get to the skill tree. And when you get to the skill tree, then you start to kind of feel the vibe of the game a little bit more, the flow of the combat. So if you're like hesitant about getting into them, this is much more welcoming than like an Elden Ring or a Dark Souls or Wolong or anything like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and you have like 4 stats to manage.
Yeah,
Nice.
super manageable like systems they've got, but enough customization to make it interesting, I think is kind of my experience with it.
Gotcha. Very cool. But before we go too far, I do want to give a shout out to Addy Zero dropping in a $10 super chat. I'm still not accustomed to seeing super chats. It makes my day every time. Thank you so much. It helps so much. But he says, June 9th, get your popcorn ready. I don't know about you guys. I will say when I saw the news of like the confirmation June 9th, we're getting an Xbox showcase. We're going to hear from Xbox. We're going to hear from Bethesda. We're going to hear from Activision. And then, of course, we had a very, very obvious redacted symbol that was alluding to Call of Duty, which I'm stoked for that. I have all these excitements, and I do want to hear predictions when we chat it. But I will say, if we don't hear about the Bite Back edition of Redfall, Captain Logan's gonna lose it, and I'm never gonna hear the end.
Just remember, like, the lies they fed us about Redfall.
Well, it was then that we knew Xbox was dead, Logan, right?
Well, I knew that. Yeah, no, we knew, but still, like, dead or not, I'm gonna rifle through that corpse and try and find those 2 characters.
I'm so serious. I bet you see a nice comeback for Redfall. I mean, look at Fallout 76. Starfield got its 60 frame per second update. I see a good world where Redfall comes back. I want to believe. I
don't.
Which is like,
I just don't. That game's fundamentally broken.
Just imagine if that was the game that PlayStation got rather than Sea of Thieves. Or
it could still go.
I think it's still going to happen. I think Redfall shows up with its like, it'll probably run better on PlayStation, but it'll go over there. It shows up. Blade is the exclusive character to PlayStation. That's the future we're living in. I'm here for it. Right.
Well, speaking of what you just said, I think I saw that Fallout 4 next gen patch runs better on PS5 than it does on Series X.
It does.
Really? Okay. I was like, man, that's not a good look.
Not a good look at all. But
why wasn't Buffy the Vampire Slayer in Redfall? Come on.
I don't know. It really did suit. I remember hearing that on Super Friends Unite that week or that month, Todd. I remember you saying that for sure. It would have made sense.
You want to talk about Indiana Jones being a dead IP?
Oh,
you
not
mean
this
Redfall?
again.
You want Buffy back? Jesus.
Here we go.
Well, let's all mute our mics and let Todd go. Go ahead, Todd. Tell us about Buffy.
I'm not bad mouthing it. I'm just saying Indy's more relevant than Buffy.
Very
For many
interesting.
reasons, unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. I feel like the older that I get and the podcast that I listen to, like I continue to find new podcasts and I'm like, I think the groups that I listen to are just like progressively getting a little bit more out of touch from like the main group of people that are playing games. Like Luke, I know you talk about like your students and what they talk about all the time. I am, but hey, I'm with you. The more throwback 90s IPs we can get and stuff, the better off I am. I'm all down for it.
I literally had to use, I've been trying to teach my kiddos right now. They get really nervous when they're reading books and the proper nouns aren't English, right? And so like if they see a name like even Penelope or Persephone can throw them off. They need like Sarah and John. And that it's very strange. And so I've been using examples and I've been factoring in a lot of African names like Mbinga. That's a soccer player. And then I put Kenzera and Zhao and they're like, where'd you get those, Mr. Lohr? And I'm like, from this new game. And they're like, is it in Roblox? And I'm like, you're suspended. You don't get to come back. Okay. It's rough. I do want to come back to showcase predictions, but I didn't give Ellery or Chris or Logan a chance to talk about their games they've been playing this past month. Did you guys want to shout out a game that we haven't touched on?
I do. The Rewinder just dropped on Game Pass. It was in the ID at Xbox showcase. They announced that it was, on Game Pass now. So I went to check it out. It's a 2D side-scrolling puzzle adventure game. It has some Chinese folklore infused into it. And essentially you are what's called the Rewinder. And you get to rewind time to try to find clues of what happened to these souls. And so I've put a handful of hours into it right now, but I just want to give it a shout out because I am, there goes my cat. I am loving it right now. And I really recommend this game to anyone.
I think I saw you playing that, Ellery, a little bit when you were streaming. And yeah, I loved the chunky I guess chunky pixels. Is that the best way to put it? I love that.
Yeah.
Big blown up pixels.
Yep. Very cool.
Yeah, it's got an awesome art style. Yeah, and it's also half off on Steam if anybody doesn't have Game Pass. It's only $7.50, which is not an expensive game at all, but it looks very neat.
It is cool. It is very cool.
How long did it take you to play?
I'm still playing it. So I have a handful of hours in right now. I mean, it literally just dropped a couple days ago whenever the ID at Xbox showcase went.
So the recent one with IGN, that's the one you're talking about?
Yep, that's the one. And so only a few hours into it, but I really, it's got me. And there, 100 Heroes is another game that has gotten me. And these aren't my games that I normally gravitate to. And so that's the beauty of Game Pass. You get to try these things. Like I would never buy either of those two games. And right now those games are what I'm going back and forth on.
Very cool. Krista in chat agreeing and interested also, which is cool. Very cool. And so you asked about, oh no, that's for No Rest for the Wicked. Has anyone played No Rest for the Wicked?
Yes.
I have. Yeah.
A lot.
Did you guys want to talk about that? Because I have been hearing all of these wonderful things, looking at previews for it, hearing Ains talk about it. Of course, it's Moon Studios. And I even messaged, I don't know how to pronounce his first name, Gennady. I don't know how to pronounce that name. The studio head, Gennady Carroll. I always mess up his first name, but one of the studio heads, because I talked to them back when they first did Ori 2 about coming on and had a good chat with them. So you guys have played it. What did you think?
It's very good.
Yeah, I will defer. This is I'm still kind of getting into it myself. It's very harder than it looks going into it. So I think that's my big takeaway. Is it's kind of got a little bit more difficulty than I was expecting, which is totally fine. It's just it's a very good looking, difficult game, but I like it so far.
Yeah, it's the total opposite of Another Crab's Treasure.
It sure is.
It's the combat is not that much Souls-like, but it's really punishing and really difficult. And the overall tone of the game is way darker.
Mm-hmm. Is it a Diablo-like?
No, it's it's isometric view, but it's kind of this.
It's more of a Souls game with
there.
a Diablo perspective.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that without like the loot farming, I would say. Like it's not a very it's got loot in it, obviously, like any game does, but it's very much so like a it's feels like Diablo mixed with a little bit of Dark Souls from that isometric perspective, but you're kind of like killing enemies one off, maybe in groups of like 2 or 3. So it's not like you're getting hit with mob after mob of enemies.
Yeah, but into it you can die, so
a lot of deaths, a lot of deaths.
It also uses a very different enemy respawning system than what Dark Souls does.
Yeah.
I was watching him stream it because I have not played it. I'm waiting for the full release. But I was like, wow, this is quite different. But he did say it's quite tough, and he's pretty good at Souls-like. So that tells me it's probably pretty tough for the average person.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself wanting to wait for unless we end up doing an interview with them. I don't see myself playing it until the full release as well. How close to being done does it feel, guys?
Could be either way. Like could be tomorrow. Like they could still take 6-8 months to add content and polish stuff and listen to people feedbacks. That's why they do early access, by the way. They said it. They want player feedbacks.
Yeah.
To tweak some systems they have in place.
Yeah, I would say that. Sorry, go
They
ahead.
add a gun to it. Sorry.
Yeah, they have a lot of systems. You know, it's not just a Diablo. You go outside and kill monsters. You have quests, you have challenge, bounties, you have a town that you rebuild. You have to gather resources like chopping trees and mining.
Like
So-
the leveling up of the town, is that what I've heard?
Yeah.
Does that sound right? I'm listening. I'm thinking of skill ups or preview
Yeah,
coverage.
yeah. You reconstruct the town, so you get better shops, so you get better loot, and you can go kill bigger stuff. You know, it's the loop.
Mm-hmm. Nissa was saying that they don't like the camera, that you can't do any camera alterations. Is that
Fix,
something you guys bumped
no.
into?
It's not a problem for me. I think it's also a really something in my words. It's intended.
Mm-hmm. It's intentional.
It's a design choice
Gotcha.
because they hide stuff like behind corners where you have to explore, and then the wall kind of disappear because you're behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the camera is fixed, but you always see your character.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's their way to hide stuff in isometric view.
Gotcha.
Sounds like
makes sense.
Tunic.
Yeah, a little bit of that. Mm-hmm.
You guys are getting Tunic vibes then?
I would say, like, as far as like the gameplay goes, that's a very comparable like combat experience. Like it kind of plays like Tunic.
I'd say that's the closest.
Yeah.
Because when you hit, you recharge your mana, then you can cast spells or special abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I would say, like, from my experience so far, Luke, to your original question of like how far it's out from release, fundamentally the game is like running well for the most part. Like people are having issues, but I mean the fact that it was like playable on Steam Deck and they were willing to talk about that on their socials speaks to how it's at least mostly optimized, with more room for improvement as always. But it feels like the game is mostly there. I could definitely see it launching in like September, October, probably 6 months, maybe somewhere around there. Just
Oh
my
wow,
gut.
that's soon.
Yeah, like I mean, I feel like it's a finished game. It's a complete experience. I don't feel like it's one of the early access games that are like, hey, we'll get it in 2028. You know, I feel like it's kind of close to being there.
Gotcha.
I suppose it would come down to how much of the game is left to make. I know it's only like the first chapter or whatever. I don't know how many chapters they have for the final product though. So that's probably where that would be affected.
That and all the feedback too of like, because I know people are complaining about the systems and like how like some of the structural gameplay elements. You know, if there's a lot of feedback on that, then it could extend that timeline for sure. On top of the rest of the game as well.
I was encouraged by Moon's statement of like, hey, this has, you know, we published with Private Division. We have no beef with Xbox. This is something we've been working on for a while. It kind of curbed some of the conversations of why didn't Xbox gobble up Moon. They directly addressed that on socials this past week, which I thought was really nice to see, because sometimes you never know in situations like this. And Moon had its own, like, they had concerns as far as like studio culture about a year or two ago. I remember we were talking about that at various points. Like, you know, was it a toxic environment? Were they treating employees well? And so to see them come out and say something like that, to me, just felt, I guess it put my mind at ease in some ways. I don't know if you guys saw that quote or not, but it spoke to me on some level.
I did not see that, but I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, worth looking up for sure. Are there any other games before we jump into like our excitement for the showcase? Oh, Todd, go for it.
So I am an older gamer, so I have GameFly. I'm like the last guy to have a Blockbuster subscription. So But it gives me the opportunity to get a lot of new games and play them right away. So I got Sandland, and it's. I was debating it because it's Akira Toriyama. It's a new anime as well as tied to a game. When I saw the gameplay, though, I'm like, the art style is striking and the way it looks is amazing. It looks like a live action anime, which is awesome because Akira Toriyama, Dragon Ball Z. It's really cool. And he just passed away. So it's kind of neat to have something that will live on after his passing, which is very cool. And I wasn't sure what to think about this game, but I'm really enjoying it. It's goofy. It's fully voice acted. It's a mix of melee combat with a crew. You have stealth missions, but you also have tank combat, which I thought was kind of really neat. And you have little submissions. And I'm just really enjoying it. It's goofy. I mean, the whole premise is you're in the desert, and it's called Sandland, and the humans and the demons are trying to find a source of water. So the sheriff teams up with this son of the evil demon lord, and they go just have adventures, which is just goofy fun. So it doesn't take itself seriously. If you want something a little lighter, fair, when some of those goofier elements of Dragon Ball Z and things like that, it's there. But I'm finding it very fun, and I wasn't expecting to. So I don't know if it's a $70 game, but quite honestly, if you do like anime and you do like it's not going to have like a really deep combat system. It's not turn-based. It's very action-oriented, which is perfect for me. Mm-hmm. So I think it's well worth checking out, and I just like the fact that you do have land traversal with vehicles and tanks, and I like that they mix it up quite a bit. So I think this game worth checking out.
Is Sandland a full price game?
Yes.
Yep.
Really? Okay. I didn't get the vibe that it was should have been a full price game in the coverage I saw, but I didn't look so closely because that's not a game that would like talk to me necessarily.
It feels kind of weird in 2024 to be like, a full price game, and it's not as good as other games that are cheaper. I don't know.
It does kind of feel like that. Does anyone else feel like that? Because I'm with Logan in some ways.
It's an anime game. I think they have a built-in audience to it somewhat, like the Naruto games that come out at $60, and some of those games are just not great, but they are for the embedded audience. So I think there's a reason for it, but yeah, I mean, it seems like it's going to be a big game, and the production values are very strong. So,
yeah, I think that the way that I see it, I played the demo, and I did not like it, but I didn't $70 like it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it might be one that I pick up later on down the line. I think it is one of those games though, where whether it's $20, you're going to have diehards there on day one. Whether it's $70, you're still going to have that same group of diehards there on day one. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's a lot of in between where people are going to be swayed to pick up Sandland if it were $30. Like I think the people that want it are going to buy it. So I can see why they did the $70 thing, but yeah, I mean, it's not a bad game by any means. The tank combat, like you said, is surprisingly fun. I had a good time.
Yeah, I didn't realize the series, the manga series came out in 2000. So it's a legacy series, and the anime just came out, I think, on Netflix.
That's what I was about to say. I think it just came out. Yeah. I saw IGN just reviewed it a couple weeks ago.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, $60 on Steam.
Yeah, the show's only like 13 episodes or something like that too. So,
have you watched it, Chris?
I've watched some of it. It's weird. It's just like how Todd described it. And like, they do some stuff where it's like a lot of it's hand drawn, but every once in a while they'll throw in like the 3D models, and it's like, okay, why did they do that? But it's goofy, and yeah, so far I've been enjoying the anime, and I did try the demo a little bit, and yeah, the like how you can switch cars on the fly was kind of cool too, or vehicles. So yeah.
Is it okay? So it's a weighted question, and I know this is going to be odd, but like, he just passed away, and it's not his best work. Is that a weird kind of thing to navigate?
No, it's only weird because he's buried in the Sandlands.
Jesus, Logan. Oh my god! I'm like dancing on this topic. Logan's like, full in. I'm here.
I was gonna say I saw that the
coming in hot.
I know what Chris just said, but the anime was actually very, very well reviewed, and I know the manga is quite actually liked. I never heard of it until I announced this game.
Fan base for it.
So it just kind of sounds like maybe the game was a bit of a miss, but it sounds like otherwise they did it pretty well.
That's good to hear then, because when you have a like Dragon Ball, how do you live up to that, right? I don't know anime, and I know Dragon Ball, so that's kind of cool. All right, fair enough.
I think he'd appreciate that this will probably bring attention to the anime and the manga as well. If those are better, that's a good thing. And getting more publicity for your work is always a good thing. So I think it reveres it well. And like I said, you never know with a Bandai Namco game if they are going to go on sale very quick. And I don't know if Bandai Namco games go to streaming services or the services very frequently. So that's a challenge. But I think people would find it as a fun, like $30 game versus, like I said, 60. Gamefly makes it very easy to try out games. So
I don't see them going on sale too often, but they do tend to eventually make their way to streaming services. Like I know One Piece was the last one that kind of came out, that Bandai Namco, I think, is the one that published that they were able to get it to streaming services pretty quickly. Not
an anime, but I mean, Bandai Namco do make the Tales games, and they tend to bring them too. I mean, it took a couple years, but they did bring Tales of Arise, a few months ago? It came out about, I think, a year and a half ago, maybe. No, longer than that. It's been a couple years. But so they do bring their stuff, but that's not based on an anime either.
Fair. Makes sense. Cool deal. I feel like I keep asking this. I don't mean to. Did we cover everything that we wanted to talk about as far as what we played?
Oh, sorry.
Go for it.
No, Rick. Rich.
Oh,
Rick, you go ahead.
So one of the certainly bigger releases of the last, I don't know, week and a half, and I know at least 3 of us in here are playing it, is Stellar Blade. Yep. As far as I can deduce, it seems like Silkenet's a little lower on it than the rest of us, but from what I've noticed,
not really. It's just the timing and the mood but not the game.
From what I've seen, me, Clint, and Kevin all are really, really enjoying it.
Yep.
I'm in agreement with something Clint said in the Discord, which is I like the demo, and I like this actually much better than the demo.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I just like the demo.
Yeah, the demo was a very small piece of it, and I didn't really look into the game honestly that much because I wasn't on my radar to begin with. And then I played the demo and was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. And thankfully I had some credit on PSN, so I grabbed it. And as soon as you get past the first couple stages, it opens up to like an open world almost. And there's tons of side quests, which are probably its lowest part. The side quests are very like non-memorable.
Go to this location.
They're excuses.
Yeah.
They're excuses.
Yeah, exactly. But the combat is fantastic. The parry system is very smooth. Skill tree is good. The story actually is really good.
Yeah, I don't get all the hate. I kind of like what I've seen so far.
Yeah,
I think it's really interesting.
I liked what I saw too.
I knew it was coming. I could feel it from a mile away.
Sam, you're just jealous you didn't say it.
Yeah, when the missus watches me play it, she's not too impressed.
It's weird, guys. I saw Logan was involved in a very serious petition regarding Stellar Blade. Logan, did you want to talk about your experience there?
Yeah, it's a real shame here that SIE has so much control over the freedoms of people making games. First we got this quote unquote director's cut for Death Stranding. Pretty sure that was made by the director. Pretty sure he got his thing out. Now we've got bunny suits getting changed. It's ridiculous, If there was ever a time to outrage about something in gaming, this was definitely the moment.
Sony tax.
She's fully dressed. She's wearing a tie. I mean, what else do they want?
Yeah, it's crazy. I saw those kids losing it, and I couldn't help it. I was just like, oh boy, come on, guys. Take-Two's cutting jobs, and people are upset about pubic bones or something.
All you need to know as to how irrelevant that controversy is look who's look who's behind it.
Oh yeah.
That dude is the biggest idiot in the industry now.
We can make fun of Grims or Grums.
Yeah, I can't remember. Is it Matt Kearns? Is that his name?
Matt Gurman.
Oh gosh, that guy.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I can't tell you the joy that I've felt just totally ignoring Twitter over the past month and a half. I barely even I get on it to check my DMs just in case, but I don't even know what's going on right now. This is the first I'm hearing about this, so I'm just living in my own little happy world. Over here.
You're so much better for it, but I will say there's a lot of jokes you're missing out on.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, that's the trade-off, right? There's always what's happening, on Twitter. That's what's going on. But now it's is it a day of panic of what's happening, or a legitimate hey, what's happening? So you never know which one you're gonna get.
That's true. That's true.
It's like a box of chocolates on Twitter.
It's true.
Most of it's bad.
Well, either way, so Stellar Blade, you guys happy you're playing it, or
Oh, yeah.
are you,
Oh,
are
yeah.
you
Very happy. Yep.
very happy?
After Rebirth, it's probably my favorite game of the year so far.
Really?
Yep.
Mhm.
It's
I
So
great.
think
far.
V12 above that, but
I think when it comes out, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is absolutely going to beat it out for sure. But
Oh.
Is that okay?
God
That's, you
bless
guys were
that
talking about
game.
that in Discord the other day,
I
and I
love
was
that
just
game.
like, huh?
All right, so I'll give the. You're obviously not familiar with it.
Well, I know, I barely know, so please
Okay.
enlighten me.
All right, so here's the back of the box. Think of a game like Skyrim, except take out all the fantasy elements and make it a 15th century peasant simulator, is what I've heard people call it. Not actually that, but because you actually do follow a story, you actually learn fighting and stuff like that. But it's all they try to be like as authentic as possible across everything. It's actually based on a real time period. It's at 1408 or something like that.
I think so. Yeah.
It's in Bohemia, which, if you don't know, was the Czech Republic back then, and it's set amongst the real historical splitting of the church at that time, of the Catholic Church at that time. There was the Roman Catholic Emperor, and what did they call the other one? The false something or other. It's all about that, and you play this guy named Henry, who he's just a dude that lives in this town, and his dad is a blacksmith, and he makes a sword for the like local lord, and a bunch of bandits attack and burn the thing down, and you run away with the sword, and blah 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 blah. You go that way, and it. Unlike your typical like Bethesda game, like the main story is actually a focus. And in fact, if you don't at least follow it a little bit at first, you will never get good at anything because you can't learn sword fighting until you actually do that.
Yeah, it's very not skill based, but everything you do basically has an experience bar. So if you talk more with people, your speech level goes up. If you sword fight more, your sword goes up. You can go through. It's very realistic, and also just like you can approach that game in any way you want to. There's an achievement to go through the entire game, which can take upwards of 50 hours with not killing a single person, where you
Whoa.
just use your speechcraft to go through the entire game. So if you want to go like a pacifist route, you can. Or yeah, it's pretty cool.
Now
And
I'm intrigued.
it's pretty tough. That's something to bear in mind. It is intentionally a difficult game.
Yeah.
You cannot save anywhere. It actually uses, like, if you know Bethesda's like survival style rules, where you got to eat, sleep, all this other stuff, as well as not saving unless you sleep or whatever. That's how it works, except it does have one other option. You can create save your schnapps, as they're called. It's a drink that you make, and it lets you save. But it is done to make it that you really have to think what you're doing. You can't just barge into a castle and try to steal everything and get obliterated by the guards. All the equipment is like period authentic. Like when you set up your the armor that you wear like 5 different layers of your chest. You wear vambraces on your arms. You wear a coif as well as a helmet. All that kind of stuff, and it's really, really, really cool. It's very unique. I convinced my one friend to play it, and he's like, "That actually does sound neat." He afterwards was like, "Yeah, that game's awesome."
So, are you guys in the minority, or does this have a big following?
It's got a pretty cult following. Actually,
There's a pretty good following for it, for sure.
It started
especially
as a
on the PC side.
Yeah, it started as a Kickstarter, and it blew away all of its stretch goals, and then it ended up getting published by, was it Gearbox? I know it's under what was Embracer now, but it ended up getting pretty big. I mean, it's not Skyrim big, but it got pretty big for what it is, because it was essentially an indie game initially, and if you played it, it's a little janky here and there, but you would never know that was an indie game, because
I think it's on Game Pass still. I think.
I believe it is.
It sold 6 million copies, so that's the size of the prize. It's probably bigger in PC.
Jones.
Yeah,
it's way better on PC, so that's not a surprise.
Yeah, and the Metacritic right now for the
pre-orders. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Todd.
I was going to say the Metacritic is between 68 and 76, so depending on the platform. So, but yeah, big fan base that's very dedicated, but it is a smaller, on the smaller end probably.
I was pretty good seller.
Clint, you might help me out here. I think I saw the pre-install or the pre orders was like 2 million or hit 2 or 3 million already. Did I get that right?
That's probably, I haven't looked myself, but that's probably right. First for PC side itself.
Is that good? Yeah. So are we thinking the game is gonna make a big splash for a
I
good
think so.
long tail across
I
PC?
I think it is. I think not to be negative right off the start. I think it's going to have a tough launch because it's sticking with the Crisis graphics engine, which looks phenomenal. But even to this day, like if you boot it up on PC, like my 4080 like melts trying to play it. It looks fantastic, but that's the only problem with Crisis. So we'll see, and that's why it got so much low scores on the console side. Is that it was a slideshow when it launched,
and it was a mess just on the tech side in general initially. It's actually pretty good now. Like to their credit, they did fix it a lot. But it took a couple years to get to that point. It was in a pretty rough state at launch, but it did matter. Like when you played it, and I did not have a PC at that point, a gaming PC. I mean, so I played it on Xbox, and it was like, okay, this needs a lot of work on the tech side, but damn if you can't see a glowing gem in this, in this rock or whatever you want to call it. And again, it's truly something genuinely pretty unique, which is cool.
Luke, I would say long tail because it did sell essentially 1 million copies every year for essentially 6 years. So I would say that's a healthy growth, and it's probably word of mouth is really what drove it.
They supported it pretty well for what, Clint, 3 or 4 years. Like it was a while.
Yeah, they have like a bunch of DLC for it. There's like a whole town building. There's a DLC where you're looking from a female perspective through the game and stuff. It's really well done.
You get a dog as one of the DLCs,
and
that dog is awesome. That dog does so much.
That's cool. That's neat. I'm often baffled by, like, you're telling me there's a 50-hour campaign where you can't kill a thing, and then there's one where you can. The amount of testing and QA that goes into stuff like that is just wild to me. Wild.
Yeah, I love it. I can't speak highly enough about that game. I'm just like, everybody that likes open world RPGs needs to give this a look.
Fair.
They really, really do.
Okay. Cool deal. Cheeseworks was in chat. Cheeseworks, super awesome community member, asking if they missed Starfield talk. Starfield came out. We saw today they've got an update, a patch coming 60 frames per second on, what is it? Series X, but not
Series
S.
X.
They've got a 40 frames per second target. They dropped in a number of different like performance updates. They cleaned up some maps, and they've got land vehicles in the works. And my understanding is Shattered Space is expected in the latter half of this year, which I have to talk about that release date timing for that as well. But I'm a guy who liked Starfield a lot. I've not gone back to it since I put it down, but I really enjoyed my time with it. This update to me, and hearing these news updates, I'm really excited for what's to come for Starfield.
I actually messed with the beta because on PC you can actually get the beta update a couple weeks prior. A couple times I've done it, I've never even noticed the real difference between the beta and the final release. So I'm like, well, I might as well. There are actually a couple features in there I don't remember them mentioning. I had mentioned in the Discord I was a little disappointed that the survival mode that they have said they're working on was not in this, because I like playing that in Bethesda's games. And it's not, but there are options to kind of do it. Like when I was looking at the menu, because I was going to adjust like the difficulty options that they did mention were there. It actually has the ability to make it that food it affect whether you get no change, positive change, or positive and negative change based on food. And it specifically said it can give you the fed or healthy or whatever, or the malnourished or whatever they called it option. It did the same thing with whatever being sick is called in that. Like you can make it so that like no matter how many meds you pump into yourself, it can only get it to like, I forget what they called it, but like excellent survivability or whatever. So basically you can't just get rid of whatever negative effect you have to get past it.
Gotcha. Okay.
and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I don't remember them ever mentioning that this was in this update. And that's it's still not survival mode because as far as I can tell, you don't have to sleep or anything, but what you do in those. But it's halfway there, and I'm like, okay, cool. That's actually close enough, you know.
Is it on console now?
No, that's only the beta. That's only the beta for
15th,
Steam.
I think.
May 15th. Okay. Gotcha. I was excited when I saw this, especially to me, this gives even more hope for Starfield. I want Starfield to be successful. It feels like these are all good community response feedback.
I agree.
Well, they listened
This
to
is a
the
big update.
community with the maps, right? And I think the maps from what we saw look awesome. They look really, really good.
I think that's what I'm most excited for is the detailed maps for sure.
I'm going to disagree a little bit there, actually. So, not that, I mean, we need maps. That's not what I mean. So when Starfield first came out, and everybody was obviously upset there were no maps. Someone released a mod, and that mod is what they should have done with their maps. And I'm not talking out in the world. That mod, when you're in like a city, they'll have when you go to a mall, you have the kiosk that says you are here. They made something like that those were in the cities. That's how they should have done their maps because that's the best way to do it. I don't quite like how they designed them for the city for this update myself. Just a personal opinion, but
That's the Bethesda story. On all their game, they should hire the modders.
yeah.
Because they do way better work than them.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what they did with Cyberpunk.
Yep.
CD Projekt Red.
Really?
Yeah, they hired a bunch of the people that fixed the game.
I actually didn't know that.
Makes way too
Who
much
needs
sense.
cool studios when you can just hire mods?
Yeah.
True.
They're already trained on your engine and your game.
Yeah, that's
Great.
how.
Cheeseworks in chat saying they do hire modders.
Not enough.
Not enough. Yeah.
Not enough.
Not the ones that matter.
They should fire their programmers and just hire modders instead.
Needed about 150 modders to make New Vegas 2.
Yeah.
Well, look at the mod team that was they made Fallout London,
Mm-hmm.
and they had to postpone that indefinitely. Wouldn't it be great if they just Bethesda went and bought all of that work from the modders and paid a hefty sum to add that as new DLC, like official DLC?
Yeah, I saw that. The Fallout London, for anyone that doesn't know, is essentially a modded, a user created whole new campaign in Fallout 4. That's essentially, like Rick said, a whole new version of Fallout, and it's been worked on for a long time. But this latest next gen patch, next gen patches or patches in general are known to break mods, but they didn't even warn the Fallout London, which is this massive undertaking. They didn't even warn that team, and they were really upset with Bethesda for it. That was a catch-22, because if you warn them, they know things that maybe you don't want them sharing, good or bad. In this case, maybe even it runs better on PlayStation. That could have been something they were trying to avoid, or not. That's a weird line to walk if you're Bethesda.
Well, the real killer there was the Fallout London team announced their date, and then 2 or 3 weeks later, Bethesda announced the date for this update, and it was 2 days after, which basically meant they couldn't launch Fallout London.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was 2 days after. Yep.
Ooh.
That's why they pulled it. It should have been out by now, but they had to pull it. They're like, well, we know it's going to break it, so we got to look. And they just said, we wish they would have just talked to us so we knew when they were going to release it. That way we could make sure that we didn't complete this and now have to redo everything.
Yeah,
that is a kick in the shin.
And the update did effectively break all the current mods too. Yeah. So
it ruined
anytime there's a patch,
which is almost used by every major mod.
Is that tough when you're a company now owned by the biggest company in the world to basically still be in tune with your community, all of those pieces? Because quite honestly, they're trying to do the best for the game overall. And obviously mods are one of those things that I don't know what the percentage of users use mods. It may be a scenario where they're willing to, I know it's going to upset a large part of the community, but quite honestly, everybody that's getting to Fallout now probably didn't really get into the level where they used mods at all. I know it's in the store and I can play it on Xbox, but I know they filter out a lot of the mods that Xbox offers versus the ones that get really deep and dirty on PC.
I was going to play mods, but it disabled achievements, and I was like, no, not for me.
There were at one point mods that re-enabled them, but I can never actually find them. But they were there.
I feel like it's an awkward situation to be in where, like, on one hand, with the release date situation, they definitely should have been like, hey, whoever's the lead guy on Fallout London, like whoever's the general lead, like, here's an NDA. We have a secret for you. And then, like, let them know what's going on. But at the same time, that was announced like 2 years ago. Like, you knew the update was coming. You put all this time into it. It was coming inevitably. So it's kind of like, yeah, you kept doing the work. It just happened to come now. And I mean, like, it's just a bad situation all around.
Do games does Fallout 4 have to be updated? Is it like automatically can't stop an update? Or could you hold off, not update yours, and still enjoy the mod?
I think you'd have to turn your internet off type of thing.
Yeah, but they already made a mod to done patch. Anyway,
yeah, on PCs there's ways to do it, but on console I don't think they're. Well, on console you wouldn't be able to do it because you wouldn't be able to access like the store that they have built into it.
Yeah, but the mods is not really mods are not really a thing on console. There's a bit of it, but it's not
for Bethesda. They are, I would argue.
Yeah, but
I think mods are pretty major for Bethesda games for sure.
The creative stuff like the
I think
official
most of the hype around Bethesda games, at least for the community that I talk to, is the mods. Like that's what they wait for. A lot of my friends, they won't buy a Bethesda game until it's like $20 or so after it's been out for a couple years, and then they just mod the hell out of it. And that's what they look forward to.
That seems so odd because Bethesda games are just so massive. It's like you'd want to get started soon if you're into that. You know?
Well, I mean, I mentioned survival mode. That's where those came from. I mean, people made survival mode mods for years before Bethesda ever made like actually the one that's in Skyrim Special Edition or Adverse, whatever the hell it's called. That was a mod. It was just a mod that was sold on their creation store, whatever they call it. So they made it an official one and they made it free as part of that update. But it was a mod originally.
Yeah, a lot of the texture packs and lighting works and stuff, they kind of pulled from mods that were originally put in there.
You know what the two most popular mods for Skyrim are? One is the unofficial Skyrim patch because it patches things that Bethesda themselves haven't gotten around to doing for 13 years now. And two is it's called Sky UI. It's a complete UI overhaul that I can't for life of me figure out why Bethesda haven't made that the actual official user interface because it is 1,000 times better than what is in that game.
Probably legal things.
I thought the guy said he'd have no problem with them making an official thing, and they just don't want to do it. They'd rather
it's not the Macho Man Randy Savage mod.
No, well, the Thomas the Tank one's in there now, so that's a positive. They haven't got the Lady Demetrisk yet, which would be nice to go along with the vampire quest line that they have in there, but wishes were horses.
Bethesda is really too set in their ways to even listen sometimes or look at what people are doing.
What's wrong, Logan?
I'm gonna hold my tongue on this one, baby. I'm living a happy life. Just got my own thoughts in my head and living it with that. You guys keep going.
I can continue hitting on Bethesda if you want.
Well, let me ask you. Okay, so let me ask you this because this popped up in my mind. Obviously, we've got the showcase this summer, which is going to bring any number of information of things we'll see in the next year. In this year's release in 2024, we are getting Indiana Jones, Flight Sim, Hellblade, and Avowed that we know of. You're getting COD. What's that?
Ara, History Untold.
Yeah. Oh, Ara on PC. Yep, absolutely.
Stalker 2.
Stalker 2 is not. I'm sorry. I'm going with Xbox game, but you're right. That is an exclusive that will feel like it in much the way many of the PlayStation ones do. Then you have your Activision Blizzard stuff. You've got the Diablo expansion. Warcraft's got an expansion. The new Call of Duty is this year. To Cheeseworks' point, possibly Towerborn. The idea of getting Shattered Space in, like, where do you put that if you're Microsoft? Because in
wherever
theory,
you want,
it doesn't matter.
Does it not matter? You don't think that matters?
I don't think
no. Not for the audience that care about Bethesda games. That's what they're waiting for. They're not waiting for the next COD.
Yeah, I
the
don't
only
think
thing, the only thing
that's
you couldn't put it
something-
by would be Fallout 5. You could put it
But
by anywhere
space
else
is
you want to put it.
finite on a dashboard. Space is finite on commercial time. You don't want to
That's fair.
eat your audience, right? Like, don't you want to remarket Starfield when Shattered Space comes out, when you can say it's 60 frames, when you can say you've got vehicles, when you can say all these other things? Don't you want to market that?
Is marketing really their strong suit, though?
It's not.
No.
That's kind of why I'm bringing it up. But like, you've got all this stuff that Microsoft now has to manage spotlighting at various times. That's why they're going to have a 2-hour show this year. But like, still.
Well, I wonder if, too, thinking about it, so much things are coming at the end of the year, and all we're going to be hearing is Microsoft, Xbox, right coming into the holiday season. So even though it may be so many different games we're getting flooded with, that might be really good from a marketing standpoint of being able to, there is something for everyone.
Right.
Available.
Yeah.
And you don't have to pay for it if you have Game Pass. You don't have to market, and you don't have to have $400 available to buy all these games.
And that's a lot of games, but that's not a lot of date. So we know they are coming. We have no idea when. They could all come out in September, when you could have one in June, one in July, one in August. Like, each month have one.
That's kind of my issue, is that we had, help me out here, guys. We had Starfield, Forza, Call of Duty. I feel like one of them got eaten up and didn't get spotlighted. And I remember Forza Horizon 5's expansion got eaten up for
Cyberpunk 2077 ate up Forza.
Did it? Was that what it was? But I feel like, we
pretty different markets there, though. I don't know if there was too much overlap there.
They both have cars.
They do both have cars. That's a good point. I feel like we need to take a moment and acknowledge that. That's a very
lot of roads on both too. Yeah,
that's true.
They got the roads.
And if you think about it, they both have cover art. So
it's true. RPG elements.
Same game, really.
Souls like. It's the Dark Souls of their genre.
Yeah.
What other gamer memes can we get in there? Okay, so I'm going to bring this up on XEP Saturday also, just because after I've thought about it more, but I do worry about time and attention when you've got, like, think about your dashboards. Your dashboard's going to be popping up by this new Xbox thing a lot come fall, right?
They can keep their full screen ads,
but they're not gonna.
They can keep. I know. I should unsubscribe from Game Pass till they get rid of them.
I don't know. Are we even nervous about so much marketing when we've heard nothing about Hellblade? Like, how much marketing are they going to be doing when Hellblade is supposed to be one of their, tentpole games, right?
It's true. I to my knowledge, none of the influencers have it yet, and that's okay because it's still early. But I wondered, this game has been in development so long, I thought maybe they'd give it a month lead time for the big boys to dive into, kind of a la God of War. But because it's a smaller experience, maybe they don't feel they need to. Because I would be terrified and disappointed if Fallout was coming, if Hellblade 2 was coming in hot. I'd be very disappointed with that. I don't know about you guys.
Not that it's the same thing, but I did see, I think it was actually just today it started. They've Ninja Theory are posting a new picture or whatever of Hellblade every day until launch. But I heard something else where I don't remember where it was, but it's a pretty valid, actually it might have been Cog on here, I don't remember. It's a pretty valid point, which is, so the game's whatever, 8 to 10 hours, where they said. How much more can you show now without showing too much, since they've done nothing but showing her walk around and stuff? But there's probably not a whole lot more you can show without spoiling pretty major parts of the game. So that's they probably backed themselves into a corner on this one.
I don't think they really need to show off more of the game, maybe a little bit more of the combat, maybe, but just get it out there and say, like, hey, this is like Ellery said, it's going to be a tentpole game, and I think it's going to be the first game that truly shows off the Unreal 5 engine. We've had a couple games that have dabbled in it, but they've kind of landed flat. A lot of problems with performance issues and not really showing the potential with facial animations and stuff like that, where I think Hellblade is really going to be the one. I think they would just push that a bit more, but once again, Microsoft.
It's not even a box release. Sorry, go ahead, Logan.
Sorry.
Where's
No,
my steel
sorry.
case?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we don't even have a steel case. Logan, say what you were gonna say. That was the end of my point.
I was just gonna say that I'm looking forward to jumping into Hellblade in like 8 months when they have the 60 FPS patch.
I do see a trend emerging.
It's true. It's true. But in less than 6 months, you can play it on your PlayStation, and it'll be better. No, I'm just kidding.
That's
On the
gonna be my
PlayStation 5 too.
Yeah, no kidding.
That can run it.
So
and it'll run 120 frames a second, then not 30.
So the first Hellblade had a VR mode on PC. Will Xbox support that again?
No.
I don't think so. There's
That's a
even a chance.
shame.
I don't
That's a
think
shame.
any console right now is supporting VR.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
even
I don't even know if a
Sony's
high-end
VR
PC
is
could
like
support
it.
that in VR.
I
That too.
think a certain Arkham game is coming to VR.
Yeah, that does look like Hellblade.
Yeah, that's not a console. That's just a headset.
When I jump off the building, I will do a flip. Okay.
Sorry, Luke.
God, do you know how hard it is to be an Arkham fan?
I was assuming you had an aneurysm when that announcement was made earlier today.
You should have seen Ainsley Bowden and we have our creator chat for that for Cast Co-op, and I lost it.
Yeah, I figured.
It was not rational. I was
When
as
you-
mad about that as you once were, Rick, about the Rocket League Pro Circuit.
Oh,
Like-
that was a great conversation.
Championship
Oh,
Series.
Don't start him up. Don't start him up. Luke,
Championship Series, not Pro
shoot it
Circuit.
down.
Yeah, we're not gonna have that conversation, but y'all, you would have thought Roe v. Wade was on the docket, and we were fighting for it because
This was a bigger deal than that.
it was intense. Well, I broke my soul today when I saw that a new Arkham game's in development for VR MetaQuest 3 exclusive. I was just like,
When you saw that, I have to know, were you like rats?
I honestly, like my poor students today, I was cranky until someone brought me cookies midday, and then I was great. I do love cookies. That's a side note about me. I really love cookies. But I was absolutely devastated because I was just like, oh man, and it broke my soul.
I can't wait for you to be like puking and having like headaches and like being just really angry and just being like, I love it so much.
Huh? I don't know the reference.
Well, just that is what happens with VR if you're not good with VR. You get headaches, you throw up, you're
Right.
nauseous. Like it's pretty bad. Like you start. Trust me, I played a couple VR games through PS2 VR, and let me tell you, man. Sometimes when it hits you bad, you start getting the sweats and you start getting nauseous, and you're like, "This is not fun at all."
That was GT7 for me. I tried that in
Oh.
PS2 VR. That was too much.
It's
Too
hard.
much.
I think the only game I'm willing to get super sick for in VR is probably Titanfall. You give me Titanfall, I'm
That'll take
there.
like 2 minutes. That'll be
Yeah,
like 2
you
minutes
would
of
be
sit-
out.
But I would die happy piloting a Titan. They'd find him and be like, "Why does he look so happy?" And he was playing Titanfall
So-
3.
It was the Joker toxin.
So, Luke, I put in the rumored like release schedule for the Xbox games this fall in the chat here, and it is once again a murderer's road. And I just hate the fact that Xbox refuses to launch anything in the first half of the year. It's just like they give it to Sony or Nintendo, just say, we don't play there. We're going to play when the biggest games are coming out this fall. It just seems like a bad strategy.
In what world are they giving it to Sony?
Well,
Because
Sony
Sony's
doesn't have anything for 10 years.
No,
So.
no, quite honestly, Sony's had MLB The Show. They've had Stellar Blade. They held Helldivers 2. They had Final Fantasy Rebirth. I mean, so quite honestly, not all the games are coming from Sony, but those are all Sony sales, and they're taking up the news cycle. So I know Sony's not doing it. And quite honestly, Sony only puts out 3 games a year anyways, but they get a lot of party, they basically get a lot of second party and third party games making for them. So I just worry that they're just, and then Nintendo puts out the remakes that sell better probably than both PlayStation and Xbox anyways. So I just always wonder about it because I'm like, Indiana Jones is going to get dropped in December.
Is that confirmed?
Yeah,
It's not
That's what
confirmed, I don't think, isn't it? Just kind of like
It's
expected.
the
and
rumors
allowed
that's
in
out there.
November.
Probably.
see-
It's
Oh, I
probably
see.
a
I see.
placeholder.
Same report claims Obsidian's Avowed and Flight Sim are going to be in November. Machine Games would be in likely December. October would be Black Ops 5. And then you have the Starfield expansion prior to that. Man, I can't. Avowed in November, but Indiana Jones December seems backwards to me.
I don't think we're going to see Avowed this year. I think it's gonna get
Avowed does
delayed.
not look ready.
What?
No, it
I
doesn't.
think that looks like
I
a
think we
mobile
see it.
game.
It was
God.
pre-alpha footage. Like
Ah.
they showed really old stuff.
They have been working on Avowed for a very long time. I can tell you that
Yeah,
much.
well, it didn't show. That's for sure.
Yeah, but they didn't show the newest stuff they had in the works.
I thought it looked good.
I
They
thought the
showed
recent
it
showing
looked
was
good.
fine.
It
I'm
Yeah.
excited. Super
Yeah.
excited for it.
I
I
guess-
think we'll see a lot more in June, of course.
See, if Avowed is the outer worlds of
Skyrim. Yep.
and that's okay, live in that space, then I don't have to be upset. But if we're trying to make it a pillar, then I'm upset. And I guess that's the difference, is because for a little while it felt like Avowed was a pillar. It was like Hellblade and Avowed are keeping Xbox going. And if that's not the case, and it's meant to be a smaller endeavor, and Indiana Jones and Gears, Call of Duty, Fallout are your bigger pillars, I'm okay. But Avowed just did not look ready for prime time. Not in a time where the first thing that happens, whether we want it to or not, is that Digital Foundry puts it up on the screen and breaks down the pixels and compares it to the rivals. That bothers me. Sam, you've been quiet. Ellery, Logan, any jumps in on that one? Am I crazy?
I mean, I was just going to say that I feel like, as far as like the pillar element of it, I think that the way that I'm kind of processing it in my personal gaming life is that Microsoft is building a big pile of, oh, that's kind of sick games, where it's like you've got Avowed, Clockwork Revolution, South of Midnight, like these games that aren't going to be like your pillar showcase games that you're not going to have a South of Midnight Direct next year. Like that's not going to happen. But it's still games that I'm like, oh, those look awesome. And I feel like Avowed is kind of straddling that. I would even say the Outer Worlds 2 is kind of in that pile as well, because it's not quite an Elder Scrolls game in the case of Avowed, or it's not quite, whatever you want to compare it to, but it's still good enough to talk about. So that's kind of how I see all these. I don't want to call them side projects because they're still like core parts of their marketing beats, clearly, but that's kind of how I see them.
And Obsidian doesn't take 18 years to make a game either. So I think to make a pillar game, Avowed would be 7-8 years. And I think Xbox needs games that don't always take that long. I think that's what we're really missing out on, because are we going to get a Fallout 5 anytime soon by Bethesda Game Studios? Probably not. So I guess the
Obsidian. Give it to Obsidian.
Yeah,
I've heard Obsidian was scared away from doing a New Vegas 2 because they said they've scaled back from making the huge games.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they're in the mindset that they have to make huge games. They'd rather make dense 30-hour games, and I'm all for that.
Agree.
what they want to make.
They don't have to make New Vegas
awesome.
2.
Well, I wonder too, when we think about pillars, and I think Sony is the epitome of putting out really strong pillars when you think of Spider-Man or God of War. I wonder if Xbox is taking a different approach, especially with their Play Anywhere, and it's more, let's give you the quantity of games. I'm not saying it's lower quality, but let me give you the quantity of games that you can play anywhere. And that is going to get different types of people. We've talked about it before, where they have to do something different because they're in last place. And this potentially is a way where they're doing away with these pillars that they, need to do Spider-Man numbers or whatever, because not sure they care about console sales anymore. They care about subscriptions and things like that. I don't know, my 2 cents.
Logan, you've been quiet.
I'll toss in that Avowed has been being worked on since before Outer Worlds came out back in 2019. So it is most definitely going to hit this year if that's what they're planning. They're not going to delay that. The teams over there, there's 5 different teams at Obsidian. 3 are working on major games. 2 are working on smaller projects. The biggest team is the Avowed team, and they are probably going to be looking at a 30 to 40 hour game for Avowed. It's going to be like a Skyrim light. It's going to be their version of an Elder Scrolls game. So they're very happy with the way their development cycle goes, and they've been very consistent with being able to get content out afterwards as well. So like I'm fully anticipating Avowed to kind of be like that thing that tides people over until Elder Scrolls comes out, and then good chance that the team that finishes Avowed will move on to something else, while the Outer Worlds team is finishing up Outer Worlds 2 that will probably hit 2 to 3 years after Avowed.
Interesting. Huh. I like these smaller titles. I like that. I like that scope element, but it doesn't feel like it doesn't look like a game that's been in development that long. Maybe it's just the visual style or the change in art style.
It's a lighting issue. It's the visual style will look better on launch. It's the fact that the lighting at the way they did the lighting for the preview just didn't come across as well as it could have.
Gotcha. Shout out to Kevin Ainsworth in chat. He hosts a show. I can't remember the name of it. We don't have anyone on the panel that can help us with it.
What a nerd. Get out of my chat. I mean, come on, dude.
Right?
Nah,
Yeah.
he's great. Happy to be on Project X Dog with him. Shout out for that.
He's such a fun show. That is a Thursday night show. Everybody should watch that on Thursday nights. I tend to start it, and then I have an early bedtime usually, and I've watched the rest the next morning, which is my jam.
Good strat.
I usually ignore him while we're gaming to watch the show like when it's going on. So
we appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. It's true. And sometimes what we do, and I'm just going to out Logan here, is that we have you guys up on our tablets or our second screens. We often do that. I'll do that. I'll have Secret Frenzy Unite or 1H1D or just anything I want to support, but like I can't let down the boys. We're in Warzone. Like you can't leave soldiers on the battlefield. You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
So I try to double dip when that happens.
I ignore my boys and I let them carry.
No, usually the captain is barking orders.
No, that's okay.
And we're like, what?
Okay.
It's like, we're going here. And it's like,
I'm competitive. No, you guys lead, but I'm usually barking at you guys about why you did something that makes no sense. Because for some reason, Joseph Moran loves to take redeploys and land on top of teams as we're staggering out our Call of Duty. Like, never mind.
Logan, you need kids. Then you'll understand what you're going through right now.
No, I'm very happy not
Why
kids.
are you going over there?
We are yeah, we're pretty immature. We kind of count as kids, Todd. We kind of do. I don't know.
That's the closest.
I figured I know Logan and I are going to have this conversation come Saturday for XEP proper, but the Xbox showcase is of course happening. The redacted showcase is all but confirmed to be Call of Duty. But I find that very exciting. The one thing I truly want to see, because I'm really excited about the Xbox brand, I think more now than I've ever been. Now that Activision Blizzard legals are behind us, whatnot. Now that we've got all these wonderful pillars to look at, now that Fallout's success feels very optimistic. I'm not in like the Halo season 1 of discussing things. I'm looking forward to Gears of War. And I know it's not confirmed, but it feels right. And I've, for weeks now, had my Gears 5 Xbox One X, my trusty system here. I love Gears of War.
Fight the good fight.
I really hope we see Gears of War at this showcase. If there is one thing that I want to see more than anything here, it's that. Do you guys have a one thing that is standing out in your mind? And for the record, nobody needs Banjo-Kazooie. I know no one was going to say it because no one thinks it. It's a bad character and it's a bad game and nobody would want it. So I just want to point that out, not for any particular reason whatsoever. Awkward. And Nick Johnson, I have your questions saved for a bit. We're gonna ping on that one. Don't worry. So yeah, any one thing that you guys want to see?
Fable.
Fable.
Absolutely Fable.
I forgot about Fable. Legit. I forgot about Fable.
Oh, good shit.
It's the game they need. It's the game that I think will bring them a different audience. It's light fare. It's fantasy. It's goofy. It's fun. It's kicking chickens. I really want to see what that team does. Playground Games. I mean, I know they make car games, so but as of right now, I've never seen them develop something that isn't regards to driving a car. But I want to see Fable. It's one of my favorite Xbox franchises, and it's been too long since we've had an experience.
Okay. I like that one. In chat, Cheeseworks saying Perfect Dark. Anybody feeling Perfect Dark?
I don't know why. I'm just feeling
love to see
I
some
don't know.
more, but
I would be shocked if it's there. I don't know why. I can't tell you why.
Yeah.
Probably the drama around like why it is in turmoil, but
Well,
I would love it.
isn't Crystal Dynamics helping them, or is it Crystal Dynamics?
I believe
think
And
they're
they're in
still
a
doing
lot
that.
of drama with Embracer.
Yeah.
I just don't trust that relationship
Yeah,
and that structure.
I agree. Anything related to Embracer, I'm worried about. What's up, Matt
Except
Valdez?
Kingdom Come, because Kingdom Come's going to be just fine.
Kingdom Come is going to be just fine.
I also think Perfect Dark's one of those weird like legacy IP where it's kind of like I don't know. It just like I know why they're doing it, but also does it have the energy to warrant this? Like, is the juice worth the squeeze of bringing back Perfect Dark?
Nope.
You know?
I don't think so.
It feels like that thing that you announce when you're down in the dumps, but then once you've got COD, once you've got Warcraft and Activision Blizzard, Bethesda Fire and all those things, and Fallout's good again, and Gears is on the way, then it's like, yeah, we don't need Perfect Dark. But like if you
bring
weren't
back
sure it was going to go
Battletoads.
through and you had State of Decay 3, you know?
They already did, Sam.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like whenever they brought back Battletoads, it has that same Battletoads energy of like, oh yes, legacy IP coming back, and now that it's back, you're kind of like, Battletoads neat.
Exactly. I had high hopes for that Battletoads game.
I didn't hate it.
I
I
didn't
thought it was
either.
supposed to be good.
It's not bad. It's a good game. It's just not the standard Battletoads that people would have expected.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Anybody else? So Ellery, is there a one game for you?
Towerborn, maybe, and not so much that I'm psyched to play it, but I feel like lots of people are, and so that would be cool to, I don't know, shadow drop that, get that out. I don't know if that's a shadow drop or just say, go play it now, sort of situation. But I also want to see no leaks. I hate that. I want the developers to have the joy of talking about whatever it is they're going to talk about for the first time there.
Do you expect that to happen?
No, absolutely not. Everything's going to be leaked.
Yeah, it's all happening. Xbox is the leakiest ship I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So that Ellery's is Towerborn. Chris, what about you?
StarCraft Ghost.
Yeah.
you're hurting me. You're hurting me.
Sweet little
Half-Life
bit,
3 also, right?
Yeah. No,
Don't mind it.
I mean, I would love for them to show something other than that little teaser that they did for Everwild. Like they've been talking about it for so long. I just want to see that. I want to see what this
That
game
was
is really
mine.
about.
Yep.
So, quick question: BlizzCon is canceled. Are we going to get basically BlizzCon within this showcase?
I think so.
Not the level, but you're going to get Blizzard something, and then they've got events later. Now, Logan is steadfast no, but I remember when he argued with Steven Totillo face to face. Nothing, Logan. Not even a reaction.
No, because I mean he has better inside information. I'm speculating here. The reason I say no is because the only thing that they could possibly toss out is more stuff about Diablo 4 expansion. There's nothing in the pipes for them except War Within, and that audience is completely segregated from the console space. So there's no point in bringing it up, really, because there's not enough interest or time to be able to be like, we've got Warcraft War Within coming, and everyone's going to be like, cool. Didn't you guys
No
have
Warcraft on Game Pass?
There's no Warcraft on Game Pass.
See, okay. Counterpoint. What if Showcase extended? That's where you get some Blizzard news. or something like it.
If they did that, then I mean, like genuinely, like right now, the only thing they could really do is announce maybe another character, like a new healer for Overwatch 2, a new event in a new map. They could probably do Diablo 4 expansion deep dive, something like that. But the reason they canceled it is because nothing's ready. They've got Warcraft, and that's a steady pace. They've already got season 4 rolling. They've already got Cataclysm Classic. There's nothing really to talk about for BlizzCon that they're going to be able to really talk about. So they just didn't decide to have a BlizzCon for that. So if they weren't having a BlizzCon, then they definitely don't have anything for Xbox announcements.
Okay.
I think the way to do that would be like a COD Next style event for Blizzard stuff when the time is right. I'm imagining in my head a winter blizzard warning, like just leaning into that, dumb theme. But had to throw that one in there. But
Oddly appropriate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like they've got a lot of things to balance right now. And I know everybody always talks about like the synergy with the brand of unifying Xbox and Activision and Blizzard and like bringing that brand identity together. But there's also room for some segmentation in there. Like Logan was saying, like it doesn't make sense to show off certain things to certain audiences on the grand stage whenever it's a segment of that audience. So I don't envy the marketing people that are already fighting an uphill battle. It's like they're already struggling, and then Microsoft's like, hey, we bought a $70 billion company, so just figure out these other 60 campaigns you've got going on and squeeze them in somewhere next Tuesday.
That's fair. I like, first of all, Kevin Ainsworth. GameStop still has my $5 for that Ghost pre-order. You need to get that quick. GameStop's got like 6 minutes left to live. I'll shout out him also saying Contraband. We haven't heard from Contraband.
Yeah.
We haven't heard from State of Decay 3. There are a couple games.
State of Decay 3's that's going to be a ways out because they transitioned to State of Decay 3 like earlier last year, and they pushed all their like UK team is taking over the development and post-launch support for State of Decay 2. What was it, September of last year? So like State of Decay 3's probably still got some time before we start hearing more about that.
Okay, fair enough. I'll shout out Daddy D Wally saying, first of all, look at all these characters, and then welcoming Logan back in action. I appreciate that. Then Matt Valdez saying, show us what id has been cooking. Here's the thing for me, and if id is making a first-person shooter, do you want that next to COD, next to Machine Games, or do you want to give it some time and save that for something like a Game Awards or something like? I hate saying this phrase, but like, do you blow your load here, or do you?
There's so many other things you could have said. You put your cards on the table.
Really?
Taking the kids out to dinner. You could have, like, of all the things.
What else could I have said?
Anything.
Okay.
Anything.
All right, we're gonna make that a
Showed
spectrum
your
comment.
hand.
I don't understand.
You're a
cues,
teacher,
everybody.
Luke.
Open
Use your
vault
words.
door.
I don't know. Do you?
Is
Let
it
the
Red
cat
Team
out of
style?
the
Do you have to
bag.
explain what that means to his kids?
Oh God. Okay, this is too awkward. I don't. So, do you share everything now, or do you save something for Game Awards?
There you go.
Okay.
Well, if you're going to put it up against Call of Duty, it'd be nice to at least see one good shooter. So that's why we'd like to see whatever it has to show.
God, are we really gonna do this? There's 6 people playing Battlefield right now, and 3 of them are.
I didn't say about Battlefield. I said whatever it makes.
I
Make
love
Quake
it. I'm
better again.
I'll be honest. Despite being the same genre, I mean they couldn't be more different. Call of Duty.
I agree.
And I get what you're saying. That the layman out there is going to see first-person shooter, but it's been rumored that they were working on Quake. Is that correct? A new Quake game?
Yes.
I hope so.
Yeah, so do I. Actually, Quake 2 and Quake 4 were awesome.
Yeah.
Quake Champions is so underrated. It's such a good game.
I'm not a fan of those kind of Quakes, but
oh man, I love some Quake Champions.
I'd love to see what like a new single player Quake would look like from them, because I wouldn't want, as much as I like them, I would not want it to look like Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal. Like those are their own thing. They're great. I don't want that to be
right.
a new Quake. You know what I mean? I want it to be something quite different. And then you mentioned about Machine Games. I mean, Indie's not a first-person shooter; it's a first-person game.
No,
So that again, back in the box, yeah, it might look similar, but
Mhm.
in terms of gameplay, I'll bet you it looks quite different than whatever Ed would be making. So
I don't like Captain Logan countermanding my joke.
yeah, my man, right there. Let's go.
Shout out to the average.
Whoa!
I did not expect. Is that real? Or are you messing with me?
No,
It
I
is
just
going
checked.
well.
It's,
Dude, it
it's
is going
come
well
back. It's
for-
average.
Are you paying
Good for
yourself with the super chat? How does that work?
Oh no, he's just a mod, so that's
That's
why
not
he's
a super
popping up.
chat.
Oh,
Yeah,
you should
not
have
a
to
super-
pay for this, Luke.
Yeah.
You guys should have to pay for when you do those type of things. Yeah.
It's fair. It's fair. But I didn't know it was up to 10K. Good for them.
October was a huge spike. They were down to, according to the Steam charts, September 2023 was 5,000, and then they gained 21,000 players, a 422% increase in October. I don't know what happened.
Oh,
Maybe
I'll
y'all
tell you what
can-
happened. The Halloween update dropped, and there was a very sick, like, horde zombie style mode that came out with some robots.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay.
I remember we had that discussion because we were loving COD's zombie Warzone mode. Remember we were all praising that, and
Mhm.
we were in the XCP chat with Clint and Rick as they were playing, and Sam, you even said on Project X Talk that update. I remember that vividly.
Yeah.
Vividly.
Very
Yeah.
good. It's very good.
So, just for my curiosity, how many concurrents on, I guess, Steam does or what's the average for COD? I'm not saying that as a dig. I'm just curious, like, because we always hear about like Steam, you can't count it as. I'm just curious. And shout out to Ellery. I agree. By the way, let's get
I
some
would
old
guess
CODs
not
on
great.
games.
I don't think COD does super great on PC
Uh,
anymore. It does well enough, but it's way better on
Right.
console, I
So,
think.
according
agree.
to Steam charts, COD in the last 30 days has averaged 87,000.
Better than I
Okay.
thought, actually.
That's higher than I would have expected on Steam.
Yeah, for Steam, that's more than I would have thought too.
Okay.
Which one are you looking at, Logan? Because I'm looking at one that's got 97,000 players right now. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong number. I'm on Steam TV. I don't know where you are.
I'm on steamcharts.com. I'm just checking like down below like the current and just looking at the average for the last 30 days.
I don't think I have the same metrics, but either way, like, I mean, 24-hour peak that I'm seeing is 101,000 on Steam alone. So that's
Yeah, I see that.
that's strong.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll confirm that.
So, can I ask a dumb question? We've got the
Yes.
ABK merger.
Mm-hmm.
Are we not expecting them to put out any new games? Like the whole corporation. It just seems weird that it's like it's Call of Duty, maybe some couple of Blizzard games, and that's it. And they have like 20 studios. It's just so weird. I don't know.
do
Should we
nothing but
expect
work on
more?
Call of Duty. So
I have an answer to that, but I'll let you guys. Does anyone else want to jump in? Because I
I
have
was
a
just
thought.
saying, most of those studios just work on Call of Duty. I'm not saying
Yep.
that's how it'll be in the future, but it's what they've done. They're not going to have anything to show right now. The only
Yeah.
possibility would be is Toys for Bob. I know they downsized or whatever. Were they working on something? I don't.
They
know.
left. They have their own independence and they're working for X. They're going to produce this title for Xbox, but they're
Yeah, so there's
separate now.
nothing else anybody could even show. You'd have Blizzard
got-
and whichever one's making this is a Treyarch. So that'd be probably it to show.
My 2 cents is that they're in a kind of like assess what projects they're working on mode right now, and Xbox is kind of like thumbing through the docket and seeing like who's working on what, where they want it to line up, and they're just kind of like, okay, well this will probably take a few years. This is getting close, and they've got like a bunch of little things that they want to do, but we still haven't even seen the back catalog get addressed for Game Pass. So I think it's probably going to be a while before we start seeing them actually start to put out new content now that everything's said and done, like how it's going to work into their current lineup.
So do we see like the big back? Oh, sorry, there you go. Sorry.
No, remember how they showed that Roblox game, the Chucky game? Are we going to potentially see some mobile stuff upcoming? I mean, they have King in there. We don't really talk about King, but they're pushing mobile stuff. So I don't know if we'll.
Boy, I
see some
hope
of that.
not. Not at a showcase.
Yeah, not at this. That would be a bad look.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Well, do they talk about the back catalog at the showcase, like saying this is our roadmap for all the back catalog? And by the way, and do they just gauge what gets the most engagement once that back catalog is out to say we need to move forward with these franchises because they are resonating?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was going to be my thing that to Luke's question of like what I need or want to see the most from the showcase is like, tell me about that back catalog. Are we just getting COD games? Are we getting Transformers games? Are all the Spyro games coming to Game Pass right now? Like, I want to know what they're doing with all of those. But I don't need like a full roadmap. I just kind of want to know that they're doing it, that they're coming. And now there's a cat involved, and I'm totally distracted, which is great. I'm totally happy with that. But yeah, I want more video games from my back catalog added onto Game Pass. That would always be a welcome addition.
Yeah, I want Prototype on there.
Oh yeah, good pick.
I'd like a good Prototype game myself, but
I'd like a good COD game.
good luck. Good luck. You might be waiting a while.
Not a lot of them.
Apparently, it's weird because the Ultimate Alliance franchise, the last one was exclusive to Nintendo. So I'm not sure where that lies. The licenses are the worst thing because most of those games, even though you said Transformers, Hasbro owns the license. So they have to get that renewed, have to do all these things, and have to renegotiate that. Spider-Man 2. So quite honestly, yeah, they made the games, but they don't own the licenses. So they have to renegotiate all that. And maybe that's what Cerebon's doing, is saying, we're going to get all of those IPs in line so they continue to follow our console versus they get left behind, delisted, just like Forza. What was the last Forza that got delisted because they didn't have any of the licenses for cars or tracks?
I think
Horizon
it was 2,
3.
wasn't it? Horizon,
No, Horizon 3.
Oh, it was 3. Huh?
The thing is, they do have the license to the cars. They don't have the license to sell those games further with the cars in them because those same cars are in Forza Motorsport, which just came out. But
yeah, it's like what every generation they have to renew it for the next generation that comes out, which is just always sucky. So they need some perpetuity agreements like Sony making their movies with Spider-Man for the end of time, regardless, right?
Well, the car dealerships, especially with Forza here, the car dealerships are particularly finicky because since Forza actually has, it's not the greatest, but it has damage modeling. A lot of them are really stupid about that. They don't want to see their cars get damaged, and if they do, it's blah 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 blah. So I had read in the past that a lot of that was a major hang up. It's why Porsche was such a big deal because a couple years back Porsche went to exclusive to Gran Turismo, which they only made one game, which was Sport. Then they ended up coming loot, but yeah, don't talk your off about it. But it became a big deal because all the manufacturers function totally differently in how they do it. And I have no doubt that it works the same thing with Marvel and Hasbro and all that. Like when you were saying that, Sam, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, yeah, it'd be great to get all these, but when you look at Activision, you got Call of Duty, and you got licensed games, as well as obviously some Spyros and stuff like that. But and all of that is just an absolute tangled mess when it comes to the licensing thing.
And Neo for some reason.
It's true. Neo
is an Activision game by From Software, which is just an odd.
No, it's not.
But that would be a big thing for Xbox.
I think
Neo's
you
a
mean
Tecmo game.
Sekiro. I think you mean Sekiro, right?
And also From Software.
Oh, sorry, Sekiro.
You mean
That's what I
Sekiro.
meant. Sekiro.
Yeah.
And I knew what you meant too. I was like,
Yeah,
Neo, that's right.
Neo, I'm like, no, it's not. That's a Tecmo game.
Sorry, Sekiro. Sorry, but that's once again that I don't know who owns IP. Is it Activision
No,
or is it From Software?
From Software.
From the Sekiro license.
Yep.
Kind of like Bloodborne, right?
No,
So Bloodborne is owned by
yes,
Sony.
And that's the
Yeah,
problem.
so it's
That is an interesting one though, because I was working on a video a couple of days ago and I had to download the Activision Blizzard announcement, and Sekiro is in that like super cut of games, which is really interesting. So just an observation there to throw in.
yeah. Could Xbox put the money forward to make it continue? Could Sekiro become a Xbox franchise that's a From only game? That could be cool.
That would
I
be
doubt it
interesting.
because don't forget Sony owns a not a majority by any means, but they do own a share of From, so I don't think they'd ever let that fly.
But I think Xbox, to Todd's, like, to defend the possibility, and I'm not saying it would, they command more weight now, Xbox does, than I think they ever have before. I would like to see them, as a consumer, I want to see them swing that weight a bit more. And it feels like they're bullied by PlayStation often when it comes to these deals. Not to their detriment, by the way, because their job is to make money, and we just saw last week that they are making money hand over fist. Not console
Or a $3
sales.
trillion company.
They're making money nonstop, and Sony's not. But it feels in our console space, it just doesn't feel like that, you know.
Well, and Luke, you just want to rub it in Joseph Moran's face that we get a Sekiro 2 before we get a Bloodborne 2.
I would pay anything to be standing next to him when they announce Crackdown 4 or Sekiro 2 or anything really that I want, that he doesn't get Bloodborne. Just I take such joy in that. Oh, makes me feel good. Makes me feel good.
I mean, there's a good chance of that because they're clearly not going to make another Bloodborne. They're just adamantly against it for whatever reason.
They seem to be. They seem to be for sure. Guys, as we start to wrap here, I guess my final question is: do we see any of these Fallout remakes this year?
No.
Early next year, but I don't think this year. I could see it like first quarter next year, though.
Okay, maybe that's the first.
Who can
quarter
make
Todd
them?
wants. The remakes? You just
Yeah,
file
who can
save
make them?
as.
Saber Interactive.
Oh, that's right. They don't have a. They need to get a studio like a Blue Point that is their like remake experts, and I don't know who that is.
It's one of the
Saber.
Activision studios. Is Saber available?
They enough money, they'll do anything.
They are independent now. Saber is independent now, so there you go.
Yeah.
Pick them up.
And they're a big studio. They do a ton of contract work. So
It's not always the greatest, but they'll do it.
Sam, what were you saying?
I was going to say 343 has a remaster studio called the Forge Community, and they just leverage them all year long.
Yeah,
So
like Bethesda, they have models.
yeah, exactly. Perfect. Yeah.
Speaking of Halo Infinite, I like the changes they're making. Those are too late, of course, but I love these new changes they're doing.
Yep.
Makes me want to dive back
It's
in.
Halo Infinite. It goes on forever. It's never too late.
Nah, I heard that was the final fantasy.
That campaign we'll see in 20 years.
Rebirth doesn't end, so that would make say.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. It's been a wonderful night.
We are not funny, but we'll keep making jokes.
I do think that I think that obviously the Fallout 3 remake is something that was in the FTC filings, I believe, if I remember correctly. That would be an awesome and we've got one more thing, and then it's just like the trailer for Fallout 3 remake. No date, like that could be next year is probably what'll happen, but like just to kind of capitalize on the hype of the show that'll be dying down by that point, but still relevant enough to make an impact culturally. I'd like to see that.
Yeah,
And you can play the characters from the TV series in the
Oh.
game.
That's smart. That would be smart.
If they really wanted to, if they knew this was going to be a hit, what they should have done is they should have allowed ghouls to be a playable race in Fallout 76.
That'd be cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, they are having new DLC for like the first time in a few years for Fallout 76, a whole new map area. So that's
That'd be
something
cool.
that could probably be at the
Looking
show
forward
too.
to that.
Yep.
Which mode? Say that again. I feel like I missed.
Fallout 76 is getting an expansion to the map, which is the first
cool.
time that is an expansion and not like an expedition.
Yeah.
You go to like a different area. It's like you can actually go traverse there yourself on the main map, and that's the first time I think I've ever heard of them doing that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a new like weather system too, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're putting effort into it, which is
Yeah.
nice because they
It's a great game.
earned it.
Yeah.
Good. I like hearing that. I actually was I got a code for 76 and I was debating 4 or 76, and I'm loving 4, but I don't have the energy for it right now. That's a game you got to be like focused in on, and I was like, I need to wait till summertime. It's too much for me right now.
Play it in survival mode. That stupid Deathclaw in the beginning will make you want to kill people.
Oh my god.
I remote played it on my Vita back in the day.
Jesus. Because you get one-shotted. Even in the power armor, it one-shots you.
Luke does not have the mental strength to be able to handle survival modes in games.
Nope.
No,
No,
I
I
either.
It's so much more fun, but man,
No.
it's infuriating. Fun.
I need to be overpowered in every video game I play to be happy. Otherwise, it doesn't feel like a video game to me, at all.
So you need the gun in.
Luke, how's that barbarian going on Diablo 4?
That was the lamest, weakest, most pathetic class. I was like necro all day. Like I hated barbarian. I was like, what is this tragic event? I could not stand barbarian, and I thought I'd love it. I thought I would love it, and then like people were like, you're playing it wrong, and I'm like, I'm playing it the way it's telling me to play it. I was playing it wrong. Yeah, see, look at Logan, gatekeeper. Yeah, gatekeeper.
Were you playing it the way they intended you to play it, or did you just click on the pretty icons?
Why would you make the icon pretty if it's not meant to be clicked?
It's a trap. It's like high school. You should understand this.
It's fair. Total separate. This has nothing to do with it, but it just made me think because we thought Diablo traps. Orcs Must Die 3 is dope. That's
So
on
good.
Game Pass. Go play that game. It's
So
on
good.
Game Pass. It's so much fun. I did not expect to say those words.
Yep.
It's so much fun.
It's on the list for sure.
Yeah. Bump it up, Sam. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Once I
great
once I
multiplayer game too.
once I finish Another Crab's Treasure, that one's the next one on the download for sure.
There you go. That's a put on a podcast game, is what that is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
You're
guys.
put on the
It's time
podcast.
to start rounding out for me because
Yeah.
I'm fading. I'm fading. Unless y'all want to stick around, Logan can stay. But we're like a solid 35 seconds past my bedtime.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know. So can it let people know where they can find you on the socials, my friend?
Can find me anywhere on Discord or Threads at Silkanit.
There you go. Easy peasy. Rick, where can people find you?
Everywhere. PlayStation, Xbox, Twitter, Butch4969, and soon on a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth review / spoiler cast.
There you go. I dig it. I'm looking forward to that. I am genuinely interested to watch.
I think it'll get
that.
spicy. Just be like not spicy. I think we all agree on a lot of things actually, but just because
Oh, it's gonna get spicy.
The ending is rather contentious in that game, so I think there'll be some interesting discussion about that. Actually,
I've got some hot takes on that one as much as I love it.
I'm here for it. I dig it. Ellery, tell people what you've got going on. Complete Xbox, XEP, your own streaming. Let them know. You're muted.
You're muted.
Classic. Classic.
The cat did it.
Yep. Yeah, I'll blame the cat. Working on a video review for Ready Steady Ship. Tomorrow or the next day, a review for Super Space Club is going to drop over on Complete Xbox. Catch me on Twitch or Threads, right? Can I get it right there? Yeah, that's it.
There we go. Looking forward to that. Jam Pack Sam.
Yeah, you can find me at Jampack Sam everywhere you find content. I'm always out there cranking stuff out. And it's always great to connect with people on Threads. Really enjoying the Threads community outside of the Discord stuff, which is always great. But yeah, I'm over there hanging out.
Very cool.
Man, Sam, you're putting out some great stuff. You sound like you are a radio professional.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I try my best to keep up with the rest of you awesome guys out there. So doing what I can.
For anyone that doesn't know, he's lying. He is literally the standard setter for all of it. I look at his stuff and I'm like, well, I made a short.
Somebody TikTok me.
Yep. Yep. That's crazy talented stuff. Chris, 1H1D, what you got going on in your podcast, my man?
Yeah, we're dropping episodes. Well, we drop episodes every Wednesday night. So actually in about an hour, we'll be dropping our review for, I believe, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2.
Nice.
And talking about that. And other than that, like I said, we did a developer interview. I've been like posting some blog reviews as well on a QTB website. So yeah, just trying out a couple things here and there. And you could find me on Twitter and on Threads at TC1H1D. So
very cool. Very cool.
Guys, buy your Xbox Diary that Chris sells. Buy that.
What is this?
A diary? Xbox?
Oh,
Chris,
yeah.
show him.
Yeah, let's see.
I want it.
I actually just have we do have it on. This is just a prototype one, but it was just a little Game Pass journal that you can have where you can write up your.
Hold it up
kinda
higher.
like follow. Oh,
You gotta
God.
see it. There you go.
There we go. There it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's great.
It's just like a little journal where you can write your notes and what kind of games. It kind of follow the show as you're playing the games or all that stuff. So
That feels like a
That'll
very
feel-
Ellery item. I can feel
Yeah.
that. Like it's
Ellery
very
wants it.
Ellery
I'm
item.
like, Ellery wants it. I feel
You
like.
better believe it. I have right here.
Yep, I
I
do.
The video that Chris did is amazing. Watch the video that Chris did for the diary. It's awesome. Shout out to Chris.
Very cool.
thanks. Alan.
Nice. Send me that link.
Ellery, you
That
gotta
chat
get the
too.
marker on the front of it. Gotta get the.
Yeah, you gotta get the
Oh, I
dead
see.
space.
I see.
Yes.
Clint, where can people find you, my man?
Pretty much all in threads at Ryuketsu 2043. I'm on there a lot. Got a couple of my podcasts taking a hit. I've been sick. I've fallen downstairs. It's coming back hopefully this weekend, but I can't announce anything yet. But keep updated on my threads. I am going to be on a podcast or 2 podcasts coming up that I'm pretty excited about. So
Very cool.
that'll be up there soon.
I dig it. I like it. I'm here for it. I've subscribed on Spotify. I think it's on Spotify.
Thank you very much. I
Brian.
appreciate it for listening to the 2 half-baked 2 episodes.
Like, this is the podcast with no script. And I'm Clint. I'm like, all right. Todd Oxtra, what you got going on at Secret Friends Unite?
Holy cow. We are doing some fun things. We just did our summer movie wager, all about the summer movies coming out. We're doing an awesome Star Wars review of Dark Empire on our comics spinner rack episode, which is cool with Patreons. But we're doing a lot of video game stuff, a lot of just comic books nonsense. So join us there. We have a Star Wars podcast. We have a Star Trek podcast. So if you want to talk about things that are not video games, come and talk to me. Trying to get Luke on a Babylon 5 episode, trying to get Logan on for a Gargoyles episode. So if you want to talk about anything that's not just video games, but we also do video games. But if you want to do that, come and see me because we have a lot of fun talking about the world of nerd. At Secret Friends Unite on Threads.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun, by the way. I love his stuff. You're asking during EOG time, and then I botched it during the winter for my Babylon 5, so that's on me. I apologize.
Well,
I'm sorry. I got you. I owe you. I promise. All right, Logan. Good sir, the captain, the intrepid one. Tell me, my friend, what do you got going on? It looks like you're somewhere.
Oh man. Well, ship's on fire, and Sea of Thieves is doing some really interesting things. So if you guys want to know more about season 12, I'm going to be doing a new episode of the Keelhauled podcast this weekend and covering thoughts and feelings on the new content that they put in, some of the tools that they've added, and just kind of what's going on with the PlayStation 5 edition. You know, how many trophies did I get when I log in, kind of thing. So that's what's going on over there. Outside of that, I'll be in the Discord and chatting with everyone and stuff like that, trying to make sure that I'm staying in touch with folks. And yeah, that's about it for me. So just keep an eye out on XEP and Keelhauled for the stuff that I'm working on.
Looking forward to it. Fingers crossed we get that PS5 review because I want to see it. I want to know because I think there's a lot of cool stuff to dive into with that. That is going to do it for our community episode for April 2024. This was cool to see 9 people kind of all at once. This was kind of just a really neat thing to just look at. If you are watching the show and you want to join in a future community episode, patreon.com/Xbox Expansion Pass. The biggest benefit really, I think, is the Discord community where we are all there hanging out, having a good time. Thank you for listening, for clicking like, for sharing. Have a fantastic rest of your week and take care, everybody.